Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're jumping right into the very first chapter of Class 11 Physics, Physical World. But hold on, this isn't going to be your typical lesson. We're actually going on an adventure. So let me start with a question and be totally honest with yourself. When you hear the word physics, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For a lot of people, the answer is, well, that it's kind of boring. My mission here is to completely change that for you.
So I want you to think of the next few minutes not as a lecture, but as an adventure. We're about to flip a switch in your mind and see this whole subject in a new, and honestly, a really exciting light.
To kick off our adventure, we have to ask the most fundamental question of all. What even is physics? I mean, it's a word we hear all the time, but what does it actually mean? Well, let's think about the world all around us. Have you ever just looked up and wondered, why does the sun shine? What is that giant ball of fire actually doing up there? And how does its light and warmth reach us from millions of miles away? Or what about this? How does a massive, heavy metal tube like an airplane just fly? I mean, really, how does it defy gravity and just soar through the sky like it's nothing?
And think about the device you are probably watching this on right now. How do the signals for your phone or your Wi-Fi travel invisibly through the air to bring you this information? It's kind of like magic, right?
Well, the answer to all of those questions, and so many more, is physics. That's what it is. It's the science that explains the fundamental rules of how our entire universe works, from the tiniest atom to the biggest galaxy. Now, explaining the entire universe, that sounds like a massive job, and yeah, it is. But to make sense of it all, scientists have kind of organized physics into two main areas. On one hand, you've got classical physics. This deals with all the big stuff that we can see and experience every day. You know, things like motion, heat, light, and electricity. But then, on the other hand, you have modern physics, and this is where things get really wild. It dives into the super strange worlds of the incredibly fast with Einstein's relativity and the incredibly small with quantum mechanics and nuclear physics. Okay, you ready? Because this next part is really mind-blowing. In spite of all the crazy complexity in the universe, all the stars, planets, and people, everything, and I mean everything, is governed by just a handful of fundamental forces. And that number is 4. That's it. Just 4 forces are responsible for every single interaction you've ever seen or felt. 4 fundamental rules for the entire universe. So let's meet these 4 rulers of the universe. First, there's gravity, the force that pulls everything together. Then you've got electromagnetism, which gives us everything from light to electricity. Then there's the strong nuclear force, which is like a cosmic superglue holding atoms together. And finally, the weak nuclear force, which is in charge of how things change on a subatomic level. And here's the most incredible part. These laws aren't just local rules for our planet. They are universal. The law of gravity that keeps your feet on the ground right now is the exact same law that keeps the moon circling the Earth. That unbelievable consistency across the entire cosmos, that's the real beauty of physics. But physics isn't just about understanding the stars. It's about using that knowledge to build our modern world. Physics is the engine that drives technology and shapes our lives every single day. Seriously, think about it. Understanding how electricity works gave us the light bulb. Understanding nuclear physics led to things like the X-ray machine. And figuring out the principles of communication, well, that built the internet. Physics is the direct line from a scientific idea to the technology you're using right this second. And of course, we have to give a shout out to the incredible minds who made all this possible. People like Newton, Faraday, Einstein, and India's own Sachendra Nath Bose. These thinkers didn't just solve equations, they gave all of humanity a totally new way of seeing the world, a new vision for what was even possible. So we've gone on quite a journey. We started by asking simple questions about our world and ended up at the fundamental forces that run the entire universe, seeing how it all connects right back to our daily lives. Which brings us right back to where we started. After seeing that physics explains everything from the sun to your smartphone, that it's all run by just 4 simple forces, and that it powers all of our modern technology, what do you think now? Is physics boring, or is it maybe the greatest adventure there is?